Welcome to Breakfast with Bob. We're here at Challenge Atlantic City, and our next guest, the one, the only, Willie Stewart from the Challenge Athletes Foundation. Willie, how the hell are you? You're doing the full Ironman.
I am doing the full race, and I'm glad today that you put the makeup on me with these lights.
Yes.
I look sharp. We
both
both look sharp.
We both look really, really sharp. So, Willie, let's go back to 1980. Ooh, go back a ways, right?
Yeah. Thanks, Bob.
Yeah, I know. Working in the Watergate Building, and you had scholarships waiting for you for wrestling. From where? Maryland, a couple other schools?
I had a lot of people asking me, but I keep trying to tell people that when you have a 1.1 grade point average, you don't go to a lot of great schools, but they talked to me. They loved me.
They loved you as a wrestler.
And I was an undefeated state champion wrestler, and I think I was great, and then a rope got tied around my arm. If you haven't known this, they call me One Arm Willie because I have one arm.
And that was in the Watergate Building.
That's right. And a rope got tied right there, it took everything off and changed my life forever on that moment.
So when the arm comes off, I mean, how do you get to the hospital?
Well, I picked my arm up after I realized it was my arm. If it was someone else's arm, I might have left it.
Yeah.
But I picked it up and I handed it off to a guy named Brad, who's never been the same since. I'm sorry, Brad.
Yeah.
And I jumped off the side of the building into a crane pan, which was hauling debris down, and got to the street and ran down New Hampshire Avenue towards Washington Circle to the emergency room with the white bone sticking out and holding my bicep in with my finger. Like that.
Oh my God! And you're in the hospital, and obviously you're a young guy. What are you, 18 years old?
I had hair.
You had hair. You were 18 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, how'd you come back from that?
It was a devastating time, and there was no Challenge Athletes Foundation. There was no one helping or coming into the hospital to talk to me. I mean, a gentleman did come in. He was kind as can be, and he showed me how a prosthetic hook can hold a trash can and dump it, and that one day I may be able to tie my shoes. And I'm like, well, if that's all it's to it, it's all it's left, then
I'll check out.
I'll check out. But a couple of years later, I got off my duff and rediscovered who I was, and actually put my nose in some of the harder things that I've ever done in my life and succeeded just as much as I did before, but way more commitment, way more desire.
How important was it for you? Because you were a rugby player before, and then you played rugby again and actually found out that, you know what, I can catch better with one arm than I could with two.
Yeah, I was in the Philadelphia airport last week, and the guy goes, Willie Stewart, I remember those games we played against you. You were very dirty.
Did he say that to you?
He said, but I said, those were fun games. He goes, those were great games. But I could catch better, but I focused better. I think when I had two hands, they were known as boards or planks.
Yeah.
I just couldn't, the brain. The one hand, I could really function focusing on one hand. I'm so happy that other hand was gone.
So over time, you became an endurance guy. Cross-country skiing, Paralympic medal in cross-country skiing, and winning the Catalina Marathon, kayaking the Grand Canyon. And I know this was all a process. When did it get to the point where you felt okay with yourself?
Even today, I think there's a certain amount of never feeling okay, because it's always like you're reinventing the wheel. And I also like to stretch my abilities. I have no idea what my abilities are or anyone else's. And I've never drawn conclusion on anyone of what they can and cannot do. And I hope other people don't do it to me. But I'm a little bit older now, and I've got quite a few Ironmans under my belt. And this will be a heck of a challenge. But I always said that if I'm fearful that I can't do it, that's exactly what I'm going to do.
You want to be in that.
I want to be in the game.
You want to be in that position. And in terms of the availability of sports, I remember one time you were telling me that you were signed up for Leadville 100, and they had an athlete meeting, and the guy stopped you at the door. It's like, oh no, this is for athletes.
Yeah, it's like, aren't you a mascot? And I'm just like, no, I'm doing the racing. You're going to hurt somebody. And I'm like, well, give me that opportunity. I probably hurt myself first though, but here we are 5 Leadville 100s later, and
you've seen a lot more opportunity for Challenge athletes over the years.
Oh, man. I mean, the world has changed in the last 20 years, and Challenge Athletes Foundation has a lot to do with that. And I've watched where people weren't involved in the game with all kinds of disabilities. I mean, some pretty severe disabilities. And now there's all kinds of sports, and there's all kinds of opportunities to compete on the able-bodied field. And triathlon's probably been one of the leaders of that. I mean, triathlons have been very accepting about putting divisions in for disabled athletes, and it's great. I mean, the races are fantastic now. I mean, I love it. I get my butt kicked regularly by a lot of these guys. And it'll happen tomorrow, too, or Sunday. So there's quite a few really good athletes with disabilities here, too.
When was the last time you did a full iron distance race?
I did Roth,
Yeah.
and then I did Kona, and then I came, and that was 2006, did a 100-mile running race that year, and then the New York City Marathon.
100, yeah.
And then basically blew my hip out. And so then I've come back. I won a national championship.
But you have your hip resurfaced.
That's right. I'm back. I'm like, just keep giving me parts, man. I got like 5 arms and 2 hips, 3 hips now, so we're good.
You've had 3?
No, but I have my 2 originals plus 1.
So your life has changed a bunch the last few years. You're a dad.
2 kids.
2 kids, right? You're wearing your dad necklace, which I love.
Yes, I just got it from my 6-year-old. She still likes me.
She still likes you. That's good.
Yeah.
How's your life changed as a dad and sort of it's almost like a mentor to so many of the younger challenged athletes?
Yeah, and I have lots of kids I coach, and I try to integrate all the programs, the triathlon programs. I say there's no reason why a wheelchair kid can't train with someone with 2 arms and 2 legs. It's like just give them access, opportunity, and not special privilege. And I tend to benefit from anytime I can help someone else out. It's any coach. You help someone else out, you change their life a little bit for the better, you feel better.
Yeah.
And I have kids now. I love it. I love to race. I'll race as much as I possibly can, but it's fun as heck being a dad, too.
When you kayaked the Grand Canyon, right? Yeah. That's one of my, I mean, how many days was that? And had any one-arm guy kayaked the Grand Canyon before?
Well, John Wesley Powell, the original one, he was in a boat, but he had 1 arm, Civil War guy.
Yeah.
And then I kind of retraced those footsteps, but there's probably one-arm guys that have done everything. I mean, I don't know if you can call it kayaking what I did, but I went down there for 21 days straight getting a living tar kicked out of me.
Yeah, I mean, because people think the Grand Canyon is like it's a floaty lake, right?
It's
brutal.
Massive white water, huge white water. And especially I took it on where I was an okay kayaker, but I'm a above elbow amputee. Kayaking the Grand Canyon was pretty impressive, I thought. When I got done, that was one of those feathers in the cap.
Yeah.
I was pretty darn proud of myself, and I wasn't dead. And I wouldn't do it again now.
You came pretty close to.
Yeah, my arm got stuck under a big rapid, and these are big.
Now,
big.
when you say your arm, so your prosthetic.
My prosthetic
arm,
was.
Did it have
it was attached
blade?
to the paddle, and the paddle blade got stuck about 12 feet underwater for about 2.5 minutes, and I was attached to it. And we learned a lot about those prosthetics won't let go under pressure. We didn't know that before.
You didn't know before, yeah.
And so I left a $20,000 arm at the bottom of the Grand Canyon, but I had another one in my bag. I had a backup arm.
But I
recommend that for everybody.
Was there a point where you thought this might be it?
Yeah, that was kind of a daily experience on the Grand Canyon, and I was comfortable, but I didn't have kids at the time, but I was pretty sad that I was going to check out. But
yeah.
I remember my mom always said grace under pressure, and I remember I was under a lot of pressure, but I was trying to be calm, and boom, after about 2-something minutes, the arm let go, and it never came up, but I did.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I said.
When you did Ironman early on, and people see you now with the prosthetic arm, the plugs, and the handlebars, but in those early days, you rode with 1 arm.
Yeah, I didn't have any prosthetics, and this is a long time ago. And now Challenge Athletes Foundation, I have a kayak arm, a road racing arm, a mountain bike arm. I mean, there's a lot of things that didn't exist.
Yes. And
over the last 20 years, the world has changed. And then look at the guys coming back from Afghanistan and Iraq. They're back in the game. Dean Wagner's racing here tomorrow. He's a fantastic soldier I met at Walter Reed who lost his hand, and he'll be doing the relay.
Bike, right?
Yeah. I mean, the world has changed, and it changed for the better to integrate more people with disabilities into sport. I mean, face it, I get inspired by athletes with disabilities all the time, like Melanie Benn missing her arms and legs, and she can swim like the wind. And it's like, how do you do that? She inspires me.
When last week we were in Philadelphia and talking to the people from Philadelphia Insurance, and you talked about that a little bit, that, it's not just disabled athletes that inspire you, it's able-bodied athletes as well.
Yeah, it's anyone that gets out there and toes the line. And there's a lot of people, it's a frightening thing at 50 years old and you've never done anything really that athletic before. And at 50, you jump into a triathlon and go into the water and swim in an open water with people kicking you in the head. I mean, and you have a job and you have a bunch of kids. And, it takes courage. And I'm inspired by anyone who gets out there and does it and believes in himself enough to say, hey, I can do this. And that's where it all starts. It's like, I can do this. And I try to live that. I can do this.
So when you did those early days of Ironman, you couldn't take your hand off the handlebars because the winds were so strong.
And I didn't want to hurt anybody. I mean, I didn't want to blow into another rider, so I would go sometimes an hour and a half without a drink of water or an hour without any food. And then I'd get off the bike and wonder why I was pretty flat. I mean, I would go 112 miles without drinking that much. Because if I took my hand off when the wind was blowing, I'd be on the deck. Or I would have killed some guy from Europe who beat me up with his Speedo.
Yeah, and so the Sunday, you'll have prosthetic arm. You'll be able to eat and drink as much as you want. What do you know about this course? You said it was a little windy in the morning.
And it was windy, and then I was driving in last night, too, and it probably is going to be a little bumpy, too.
Oh, some hills.
Yeah, bumpy as in
the roads are bumpy. Oh, gotcha.
But I heard that there's 30 or 40 miles on each section with new pave. So.
Oh, nice.
And we do 2 loops, so it'll be kind of cool.
Nice. Well, Willie, thanks for everything you do.
Well, thank you, Bob.
It's wonderful to have you part of the Challenge Athletes Foundation and be part of the Challenge family of events. Now, you've done Roth before, so
yes, I have.
You are a member of the family. I love the fact that this is like we're putting you in prison here because we got you're sweating, man.
Oh, yeah.
I'm grilling
it's
you.
Spotlights here.
No, it's my questioning. I'm just like driving you.
Yeah, wait till they ask me a real difficult question. Low self-esteem, I can do anything with that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Willie Stewart has been our guest. Again, we're at Challenge Atlantic City. This is Breakfast with Bob, airing, of course, on triathlete.com. Hold on. We'll be right back.
Thank you.